How has a parent dressed their child that made you say, "You've got to be kidding me"? When I was planning my daughter's 8th birthday party, I made everything super clear on the invitation. Water balloon fights, paint wars, slip and slide, pool time. I even put it in bold letters. Dress kids in clothes that can get absolutely destroyed, or let me know if you need me to provide extras. I also mentioned I was a certified lifeguard, and that parents were totally welcome to stay and hang out. Most did. It was gonna be 4 hours of pure summer chaos, and I wanted everyone prepared. About a week before the party, this mom, Brenda, called me. She was super snippy about it and said her twins wouldn't be coming because it sounded too messy for her kids. I was like, okay, cool, no problem. Crossed them off my list. So imagine my shock when on party day, Brenda's car pulls up to my driveway. She hops out, opens the back door, and pushes out her 7-year-old twins before I can even walk over to say hi. Then she just speeds off without a single word. But here's the kicker. These kids looked like they were dressed for a royal wedding. The boy was wearing a full navy blue suit with a vest, dress shoes that probably cost more than my grocery budget, and his hair was slicked back with enough gel to survive a hurricane. The girl had on this white lace dress that went down to her ankles, sparkly shoes, and her hair was done up in some fancy bun with actual pearls woven through it. I'm standing there holding a water balloon, staring at these two kids who look terrified and completely out of place, while 12 other children are already soaked and screaming with joy in my backyard. The boy looks at me and whispers, "Are we supposed to get dirty?" His sister just stared at her fancy shoes like she was afraid to move. I felt so bad for them. Thankfully, my neighbor Janet had brought extra clothes for her own kids and immediately offered to help. We took the twins inside and got them changed into some old t-shirts and shorts. The relief on their faces was instant. And then, these kids went absolutely wild. They were the first ones in the pool, diving headfirst into paint balloons, sliding down the slip and slide on their bellies. They stuffed their faces with tacos and watermelon, getting juice all over their chins. The boy even started the biggest water balloon fight of the day. 4 hours later, they were completely exhausted, barefoot because they'd lost the borrowed flip-flops somewhere in my yard, and covered head to toe in blue paint, grass stains, and watermelon juice. They looked like actual kids for once. Then Brenda shows up. She takes one look at her children, and her face goes completely red. She starts yelling about how they're supposed to go straight to her cousin's wedding, how she spent $200 on those outfits, how I should have known better than to let them get so messy. I just stared at her. "You never told me about any wedding. You said they weren't even coming to my party. You dropped them off without saying a word and left." She kept screaming about how obvious it should have been, how their fancy clothes were a clear sign, how I ruined everything. The other parents were all watching this unfold, and my poor daughter was crying because someone was yelling at her birthday party. Finally, I'd had enough. I looked Brenda dead in the eye and said, "Not my problem. You dumped your kids here dressed inappropriately, didn't communicate your plans, and now you're mad about the consequences. Figure it out." She grabbed her paint-covered, exhausted twins and dragged them to her car. The kids were crying now, probably because they knew they were in trouble for having fun. As she drove away, I could only imagine the scene when those two showed up to a formal wedding looking like they'd been through a paint mixer. But honestly, best party those kids probably ever had.